Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to the auspicious occasion of Smriti Sabha for His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu. As most of you know, Prabhu was a disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he actually joined the Krishna Consciousness movement in 1972 in Dallas. And he was one of the early Gurukul teachers. He served in Vrindavan for 3 years. He was there at the time of Prabhupada's departure. And he served at the Dallas Gurukul. He served as a temple president in various places. And he was a resident of Mayapur for a few months, a year. He was very dear to the local devotees. His home back in the West was in San Diego, where he was very dear to the devotees, actively engaged in preaching activities. And he spent over the last 2 decades, I believe, he was coming every year to Mayapur for a few months. And he touched the hearts of thousands of disciples, of devotees, from all over the world, because he was one of the regular speakers at the Shridham Mayapur Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. I personally have the good fortune to have him as my neighbor for 13 years. Became very close friends. And over the years, I met so many devotees who told me that, wow, this Prabhu, he gives such nice classes. He's my favorite speaker. And every time he speaks, he touched my heart. And because of this softness of his heart and this putting his heart in everything that he did, he touched the hearts of so many. So we're hoping to, offer honor and respect to this great Vaishnava who departed this world just a few days ago. And it is custom to offer this memorial service, Smriti Sabha, within 3 days and 7 days after the departure. So without further ado, we have His Grace Jananivas Prabhu here to begin with the remembrances. Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangi Prabhu were very close friends to Rajendranandana Prabhu. Whenever he came to Mayapur, he will basically came here. One of the main reasons for coming here was to spend time with Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangi. And so I'll pass on the mic to His Grace Jananivas Prabhu.
Om Agyantimirandasya Jananjanan Shalakaya Takshudaminitantina Tasmai Sri Namaha Sri Prabhupada Ki Om Vishnu Parap Paramahans Parivajakacharya Ashtottara Sadasvi Sriman Srila Rajendranandana Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. When I heard that Rajendranandana Prabhu When I heard that Rajendranandana Prabhu had just left his body, 1 hour ago, something. And I smiled. Within my heart, I was smiling. Good on you, Rajendra. Good on you. You left your body very much calculated how he was going to leave. He was very, very conscious of how, under what circumstances, what should he be thinking, what should he be doing. Oh, okay. So.
Когда я узнал об этой новости, что этот преданный Раджендрананда Прабху оставил тело, прошел час, и я обрадовался, когда увидел его, и я подумал, какой интерес. Он в очень благоприятное время оставил этот мир.
So, he would always come and see me in Pankajangri, and most every day when he was here, and we would take prasadam together.
Каждый раз он приходил ко мне, и мы вместе вкушали прасад вместе с ним.
And he was very acute. So somebody was saying something a little bit, he would a little bit off, or anything. Immediately he would ask, why, give an explanation of what you were saying. Because all different people used to come. And if he saw that one was a bit slightly off philosophically or anything, that he immediately bring it up. He wasn't at all shy. And he could speak very openly because he was very pure devotee. Rajendrandana Prabhu.
Он был чистым преданным, поэтому он очень открыто разговаривал, общался со всеми.
Anyway, the last few days I spoke to him about. He was asking me questions. I was asking him questions also. But he was working it out, what to do now that a crucial time is coming. That yes, he's facing the fact, and he's going to leave the body, and he wants to leave the body.
Мы с ним общались, и я задавал ему вопросы, он задавал мне вопросы, и он понимал тот факт, что ему вскоре придется расстаться с этим телом.
He was very calculated what he was going to do.
И он рассчитывал, что он будет делать.
And he was asked one question he asked was, what
Один искренний вопрос, который он задал.
What's his question? Something like we know which form to take. Which form will we take? At time of leaving the body.
Какую форму принимаем, когда оставляем тело?
And I said that Srila Prabhupada said, when someone else asked Srila Prabhupada the same question, he said, well, that's up to your taste.
Кто-то такой же вопрос задал Шриле Прабхупаде, и Шрила Прабхупада ответил, это в зависимости от вашего вкуса.
What form you will take, that's up to your taste. Whether it's in Vatsala Ras, conjugal mood, or friendship, whatever taste, that's you, that's up to you.
В зависимости от ваших отношений, ваших вкусов и расы вы можете принять вальсали расу, если вы находитесь в дружеских отношениях.
And he went,
И он, задумавшись, издал такой звук.
He meditated on it for some time.
Какое-то время он медитировал на этот ответ.
But like that, already he was planning to go to Vrindavan and retire there. I think by the next year, he worked it out and settle these things here in Mayapur. And he was going to go and take Anapras in Vrindavan somewhere. That was his ambition, his intention.
У него были планы отправиться во Вриндаван и там уже принять ванапрастху. Это были его амбиции, и он планировал так поступить.
Anyway, Krishna didn't want him to go to so much trouble to go to Vrindavan. He left.
Так или иначе, Кришна организовал все таким образом, что ему не нужно было преодолевать столько трудностей для того, чтобы попасть во Вриндаван.
So he left here chanting Krishna's name. He left here chanting Krishna's name.
Он оставил этот мир здесь, воспевая, повторяя имена Кришны.
If I heard correctly, he chanted Krishna, Krishna, Rama, and then left his body through his mouth.
Оставляя тело, он повторял Кришна, Кришна, Рама, и оставил этот мир.
So he was famous for his laughter, very loud laughter.
Он был знаменитен тем, что он очень громко повторял своей громкой любовью.
And you always knew when Rajendranandana Prabhu was around because you would hear that laughter. Very loud.
Громким
I cannot
смехом.
imitate.
Он был знаменит, что он очень громко смеялся таким образом.
So then you knew, oh, Rajendranandan's around somewhere. You can hear.
По этим звукам мы могли определить, о, Раджанандра где-то рядышком.
But yeah, so he was a very conscientious person, and
Он был очень осознанной личностью.
what was I going to say? Slipped my mind. I had something to say.
Вылетело из головы, я что-то хотел сказать.
Hmm?
Последняя вещь, которую вы сказали, что он был очень
Yeah.
сознающей личностью, осознанной.
Yeah, he was very conscientious and very dedicated to ISKCON. That's right.
Он был очень посвятившим себя Искону.
And during the 1980s, I believe it was, there were a lot of issues in ISKCON, especially over gurus.
В 80-х годах в Искон было много случаев, которые были связаны с гуру и другими.
And it's a bad time for ISKCON because many devotees, there was a lot of Vaishnava aparad being performed, being spoken.
Были тяжелые времена для Искон, потому что было много аппаратов и много плохих разногласий были среди преданных.
So he had a couple of friends in America and they said, what are we going to do? We're just going to go along here, hearing all this blasphemy and my opinion, your opinion. He said, let's leave this, go another place.
И когда мы в Америке встретились, и мы думали, что делать. У того свое мнение, у другого свое мнение. Он говорит, давай оставим все это и отправимся в другое место.
He said, the only way we can become free from getting involved too much in all the topical stuff. He said, is that we leave everything completely. So they moved away and they just cut themselves off from ISKCON, and they didn't bother to look at all the news and things like that, because they knew that they would start making their opinions and get involved. So they just didn't want to get involved in any Vaishnava Aparadha. So him and a couple of friends, they left. I don't know where they went to, but they just shut themselves off from ISKCON news and everything, and just did their own Krishna consciousness when they were doing the whole program and chanting their japas and everything. But it was all very much aloof from the mainstream ISKCON, so he had that foresight that better that we leave rather than get involved in Vaishnava Aparadha like that. So they're very intelligent, working out a situation. And he addressed Pankajangri and myself as my Prabhus. My Prabhus.
Он обращался к Панчангри и ко мне как «Мои Прабху», «Мой Прабху».
And we would say Rajendranandana. What's his name? Rajendra?
Мы обращались к нему таким
Rajendra? Or Prajendra? Rajendra. So we would call him Rajendra. Rajendranath.
Мы его называли таким образом Раджендранатх.
And one day somebody said, why are they calling you Rajendranath? Your name's Rajendra. Why are you calling him Rajendranath?
И однажды возник вопрос, кто-то спросил, почему вы его так называете? Его же зовут же Раджендрананда.
Rajendranath said, I didn't say anything.
И в Раджендранат он сказал, я не ответил ничего.
Because it was the way they called me that out of love. So I like that loving exchange that they use in changing my name to Rajendra. So I never told you. I never told anyone.
И он сказал, что я никогда не поправлял вас, потому что это то, как вы называли меня с той любовью, которая у вас есть в ваших сердцах, поэтому я никогда не возражал и оставил все так, как и есть.
So he's very humble, he's very friendly.
Он был очень смиренным и очень дружелюбным.
And always wanted to share something. He would ask me, or we would ask him. But he would always want to be sharing things in Krishna consciousness. And because he was so pure, actually, he could say many things. He was very, very open towards everyone.
Мы спрашивали его иногда, он спрашивал нас, и он был чистым, преданным, и все было связано с Кришной.
So he could deal with everyone very openly and friendly because of his non-envious and his pure nature.
Он мог обращаться со всеми очень открыто и добродушно, потому что все знали его открытую природу. Дружелюбно.
So he's calculated, he chanted the names of Krishna, he's gone back to Godhead. So it's a glorious sign for him.
Он повторял святые имена, он вернулся домой обратно к Богу, это славное время для него.
And it'll be glorious for us when we go back again to be with Rajendranandana.
Также будет замечательно, когда мы вернемся домой обратно к Богу и будем вместе в Раджендрананде.
Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Спасибо. Харе Кришна.
Thank you, Jananivas Prabhu, for such a nice description of Rajendranandana Prabhu's qualities.
Спасибо Джананивасу Прабху за замечательное описание его качеств.
Prabhu, I wonder if you knew Rajendranandana Prabhu and if you would like to say something. Would you like to say a few words? Yeah. What's your name, Prabhu? Sarpadrik Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Dharani. Vancha Kalpatrubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namah. So you're translating, Prabhuji? Okay, thank you. So I wasn't fortunate to have known Rajendranandana Prabhu very well.
Я, к сожалению, не очень хорошо знал Раджананандру.
We had a couple impromptu conversations during japa period.
У нас было несколько встреч с ним, и мы общались с ним.
And that was the extent of my relationship with him, unfortunately.
И, к сожалению, я не смог продолжить развитие отношений с ним.
So what I'm going to speak is in a general way about separation from Vaishnavas and our ISKCON society.
И то, о чем я хотел поговорить, это о разлуке с вайшнавами, насколько вайшнавы важны в нашей жизни.
So separation also means meeting.
Разлука также означает встречу.
He's separated from us, but he's meeting the entire entourage of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani in Goloka.
Сейчас у нас нет возможности встречаться с ним, мы разлучены с ним, но он встретился с Радой Кришной в духовном мире.
So this is bittersweet. It's very bitter for us to feel separation from a Vaishnava.
Это горький вкус разлуки для нас, вайшнавов.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is the most unbearable pain?
Чайтанья Махапрабху Рамананда Рая спросил, какая самая нестерпимая боль?
Ramananda Roy answered that any pain can be we can tolerate any pain except separation from a Vaishnava.
Рамананда Рай ответил, мы можем стерпеть любую боль, кроме разлуки с вайшнавами.
Because who is a Vaishnava?
Потому что кто такие вайшнавы?
Vaishnava is someone who is your well-wisher.
Вайшнавы — это ваши самые лучшие доброжелатели.
Bhagavatam says, Dharma projita kaita bhakta paramo nirmatsaranam satam. A Vaishnava has no envy in his heart.
У вайшнава нет зависти, нету злобы ни к кому.
He's always your well-wisher. He's happy in your happiness and disturbed in your distress.
Он всегда счастлив, и он всегда переживает за других.
And where will we find such a person in the material world?
Где мы можем найти таких людей в этом мире?
Outside these doors, no one gives a damn whether you live or whether you die.
В основном людям все равно, живы вы или уже мертвы.
But here in the association of Vaishnavas, we fold our hands to each other. We call each other Prabhu, Mataji.
Но здесь в обществе преданных мы со сложенными руками обращаемся Прабху или Матаджи.
We bow down to each other. We want to feed Vaishnavas. We want to see Vaishnavas happy.
Мы кланяемся вайшнавам, мы кормим вайшнавов, и мы хотим видеть вайшнавов счастливыми.
This is unknown in the material world.
Такого не найти в этом материальном мире.
Because this is real love.
Потому что в материальном мире нет любви.
Love means service.
Любовь означает служение.
And in the material world, all relationships are based on lust and what I can get from this person.
В материальном мире все отношения основаны на вожделении. Что я могу получить от этой личности?
An employee serves his master because of what he can get.
Я использую других, потому что я хочу что-то получить от других.
But in Vaishnavism, we serve because Vaishnavas are dear to the Lord.
Но в вайшнавизме мы служим вайшнавам, потому что вайшнавы очень дороги Господу.
So what is more intolerable than separation from such a person whose heart has become so clean by chanting the holy name?
И что же может быть более нестерпимое, чем разлука с вайшнавом, сердце которого чисто от воспевания святых имен?
Who is nirmatsarata, who has no envy, who always is your well-wisher, who wants to see you happy, who wants to feed you, who bows down to you, who folds his hands, who's friendly. It's such a rare thing in the material world.
Та личность, преданная, он не обладает, у него нету зависти, он всегда радуется счастью, успеху другого, он всегда хочет накормить тебя, он всегда кланяется. Это такое редкое качество в этом материальном мире.
So Srila Prabhupada created an entire society of such persons.
Шрила Прабхупада создал такое общество и таких личностей,
who want to free themselves from this horrible thing called envy.
которые хотят избавить себя от такой вещи, как зависть.
And it's our responsibility as followers of Srila Prabhupada to follow his example.
Это наша ответственность, последователь Шрилы Прабхупады, следовать его примеру.
We saw in the character of Srila Prabhupada a complete absence of envy,
Мы можем видеть в характере Шрилы Прабхупады полное отсутствие зависти,
a complete absence of self-interest,
полное отсутствие личного выгоды, личных интересов.
but in its place we saw compassion, we saw actually love, we saw a window to the character of the residents of the spiritual world.
Он полностью обладал любовью, и он является окном в духовный мир.
So each of us has a great responsibility
Поэтому у каждого из нас есть большая ответственность
to expand the society of Vaishnavas,
расширить общество преданных,
to expand this mentality of actual love, freedom from envy, compassion,
расширить сознание любви, основанном на сострадании.
Srila Prabhupada created ISKCON for this purpose,
Шрила Прабхупада создал это общество для этой цели,
to create an entire society of Vaishnavas.
чтобы создать общество вайшнавов.
And if we look, sometimes the most extraordinary truths of life are right in front of our face.
И если мы посмотрим, то самые важные события в жизни происходят прямо у нас перед лицом.
Look around the room here today. We see devotees from South America, from Africa, from India, from America, even from UK. International society, how is it possible?
Мы можем посмотреть в комнату и увидеть преданных с разных стран и задаться вопросом, как такое вообще возможно?
This is most extraordinary thing.
Это самая необычная вещь.
So Srila Prabhupada said, we are Goshtanandis. We want to increase the family members.
Шрила Прабхупада говорит, мы Гоштананди, мы хотим увеличить количество наших членов.
And this is the principle by which we expand the society of Krishna consciousness.
И это тот принцип, благодаря которому мы увеличиваем число нашей общины.
Based on loving relationships.
Основываясь на любовных взаимоотношениях.
Yadati pratigrinati guyamakyati prachiti bhunkte bhujete chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Priti lakshanam means these characteristics of love between devotees.
И прити лакшанам означает эти любовный обмен между преданными.
If we exhibit these characteristics in our society, people will line up at the door to join us because the whole world is looking for what we have.
Если мы будем проявлять эти качества, то в нашу дверь искон люди выстроятся в большую очередь. Почему? Потому что люди ищут этого везде.
So on this bittersweet occasion of the separation of a great Vaishnava, a beloved son of Srila Prabhupada,
и на этой горько-сладкой встрече, которая произошла, мы говорим о возлюбленном сыне Шрилы Прабхупады,
we should reflect on the reality of our own life.
который также влияет и на нашу личную жизнь.
How long can we stay here?
Как долго мы можем здесь оставаться?
The entire Srimad-Bhagavatam was based on this principle. The whole Bhagavatam comes out from this principle, that life is temporary.
Весь Бхагаван основан на этом принципе, что жизнь временна.
Mriyamananam means that we're all on the verge of death. There's no guarantee that we see another sunrise.
Что мы все находимся на пороге смерти, и нет никакой гарантии, что мы
So
будем...
having come to this society and having accepted the blessing of Srila Prabhupada, we have duty towards him also.
Придя в это общество и приняв прибежище Шрилы Прабхупады, у нас есть также долг и обязанность перед Шрилой Прабхупадой.
Before our own next death,
Прежде чем наступит наша личная смерть.
when a devotee leaves, we should understand the same thing is going to happen to me.
Когда какой-то преданный оставляет тело, мы должны помнить о том, что то же самое произойдет и со мной.
One day it is my body on a pile of wood being consumed by the fire.
Однажды, в один прекрасный день, мое тело будет погребено в дерево и будет сожжено.
So before that day comes, we should be serious about the progress of this ISKCON society.
Пока этот день не наступил, мы должны постоянно думать о нашем прогрессе в сознании Кришны.
And what does that mean practically?
И что это значит практически?
That means that all of you will see 150-year anniversary of Srila Prabhupada.
Это означает, что все вы вскоре увидите 150-летие годовщины со дня явления Шрилы Прабхупады.
all of you younger devotees,
все вы, юное поколение,
myself and all of my godbrothers, there's a very slim chance any of us will see the 150th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON.
и я, и мои духовные братья, возможно, у них небольшие шансы, что они смогут отпраздновать 150-летие со дня явления Шрилы Прабхупады.
So the responsibility of the society is coming to your shoulders. It's your responsibility sooner than you can imagine.
Поэтому ответственность ложится на ваши плечи, и вы должны понимать об этой ответственности.
So ask yourself, what do you want to do in the next 25 years?
И вы должны задать себе вопрос, что вы будете делать в ближайшие 25 лет?
Want to waste time with mobile phones and internet and arguing, useless arguing?
Терять время, прожигать время с телефоном, интернетом или бесполезными аргументами, спорами?
Or you want to become faultless, pure devotee that can benefit the whole world with your association?
Или вы хотите стать беспримесными, чистыми, преданными, которые смогут помочь всему миру благодаря вашему общению?
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that the world is lacking nothing. There's no lack in the world except one thing.
Бхактисиддханта Сарасвати Тхакур говорит, что в этом мире нет недостатка, кроме одной вещи.
Only lack in this world is Krishna consciousness.
Нехватка в этом мире, единственная нехватка в этом мире, чего не хватает, это сознание Кришны.
So our responsibility to Srila Prabhupada begins with ourselves.
Поэтому наша ответственность перед Шрилой Прабхупадой начинается с самих нас.
To free our heart from all types of envy, all types of material desire, greed, anger, self-interest.
Чтобы избавить, очистить наше сердце от таких негативных вещей, как зависть, гнев, ненависть, эгоизм.
So that we can be that person that brings another person into the fold of this great society Srila Prabhupada called ISKCON.
Чтобы мы стали той личностью, которая способна привести других личностей в международное общество сознания Кришны.
So let us remember the sterling characteristics, personal character of this great devotee Rajendranandana Prabhu.
Поэтому давайте помнить об этой уникальной личности, о его уникальном характере Раджанананды Прабху.
And as he was dear to Srila Prabhupada and as will eternally associate with Srila Prabhupada, let us also follow his example and try and do the same thing.
Так как он был очень дорог Шриле Прабхупаде, он следовал Шриле Прабхупаде, мы также можем следовать его примеру.
Because time is passing.
Потому что время идет.
And one day the same thing will happen to us.
Однажды то же самое произойдет и с нами.
Srila Prabhupada was in his last days, lying on his disappearance bed. He looked with great gravity at the devotees.
Однажды на последнем смертном одре Шрила Прабхупада, лежа в кровати, он с большим сожалением посмотрел на преданных.
He said, "Don't think this won't happen to you."
И он сказал всем: не думайте, что этого не случится с вами.
So before the last breath comes, make a resolve to become a pure devotee and do something positive for the welfare of the society, which means do something positive for the welfare of the world.
И пока не наступит последний вздох, подумайте о том, что вы можете сделать для общества, как вы можете стать чистым преданным.
Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. Gaura-Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Nitai Gaura-Nitai Gaura.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Is his name Rajendranandana? Or Nandana? Okay, I have to ask that. Just whenever he used to come to Mayapur for the festival, I always get his name wrong, which he found annoying. Anyway, we're here to say a few words about Rajendranandana Prabhu.
Раджендранандана Прабху приезжал в Майяпур, и мы с ним виделись, я хотел несколько слов о нем сказать.
I confess I didn't know him very closely.
Вначале я очень близко не знал его.
I only ever saw him when he came here to Mayapur for the festivals.
Я только увидел его, когда он приезжал на фестиваль в Майяпур.
And I can remember the first time I met him actually.
И я помню тот первый раз, когда я увидел его.
We were offering Prabhupada Guru Puja.
Мы совершали Гуру Пуджу Шриле Прабхупаде.
And the system then was that when devotees came forward, to offer the flowers during the Guru Puja,
И в тот момент, когда преданные предлагали цветы во время Гуру-пуджи,
then naturally devotees would try and bow down and offer their obeisances.
и естественным образом преданные хотели предложить свои поклоны.
But we had so many devotees coming for the festival, then it wasn't possible to let everybody do dandavats.
Но из-за того, что очень много преданных приехало на фестиваль, это было невозможно организовать так, чтобы все преданные предложили свои дандаваты.
So as the devotees were coming forward to offer their flowers,
И поэтому преданные спереди подходили, чтобы предложить свои цветы.
then naturally some of them would automatically bow down or try to.
И естественным образом преданные пытались склониться или предложить свои поклоны.
And myself and a couple of others, we would just, as they were going down, we'd take them under their arm and lift them back up and say, offer over there.
И поэтому мы пытались помочь преданным, остановить их естественный позыв поклониться, мы их за руки брали и провожали их дальше.
We're still doing that,
Мы по-прежнему делаем так.
except that now we have the chowkidars do it rather than the devotees.
У нас есть чокидар, который помогает делать это для преданных.
So anyway, Rajendranandana Prabhu, he offered his flowers and then he did his dandavats.
И Раджендрананда Прабху, он предложил свои цветы и стал совершать дандаваты.
So he got halfway down. I didn't know him, so he got halfway down and I grabbed him under the armpit and lifted him up and told him to go to the side.
И когда он стал предлагать свои дандаваты, я нагнулся, чтобы взять его под мышки и отвести его в сторону.
And the next thing I knew, he practically broke my toe.
И
The next thing, he practically broke my toe.
И в следующий раз просто он практически поломал мне мою ногу.
He got annoyed that I wasn't letting him offer his
За то, что
dandavats.
я не позволил ему предложить дандаваты Прабхупаде.
So when I grabbed hold of him, he just went bang
И он просто ударил меня
on
по
my foot
ноге
with his knuckles.
своей сильной кистью рукой.
So that was an introduction.
Это было вступление или знакомство.
After that, yeah, had a little chat. We never had that problem after that.
И после этого мы с ним пообщались, и проблема была устранена.
And because he was a friendly guy, so we became good friends.
И у нас дружеским образом складывались отношения, и мы продолжали развивать свою дружбу.
Yeah. I never really had any association with him, though.
И у меня не было много общения с ним.
Just little chats here and there.
Немного перекидывались словами там и тут.
Yeah. And so I know very little about his activities, either in Mayapur or wherever he was living, I guess in San Diego. Is that? Yeah.
Я не так много слышал о нем и как он жил здесь, в Сан-Диего.
All I know that he was working, or he had some business that he was doing in the West. Okay.
Преданный говорит, что он был президентом храма в Сан-Диего.
So there's not a lot I can say about it,
Yep.
from a practical point of view.
Я не так много могу поделиться о нем с практической точки зрения.
But I know that he was kind of planning a phased out retirement from his preaching in the West or business dealings in the West.
Он занимался проповедью и занимался бизнесом на Западе.
And I think his plan was to, in a year or two, to come here and stay permanently in Mayapur.
Его план был спустя год-два приехать в Майяпур и постоянно здесь находиться.
Yeah. Over the last few years, I saw that every festival he would stay longer and longer and longer. So when he first came, he would go back just after the festival. But after that, he would, all right, an extra couple of weeks. an extra month or two. Sorry.
И вначале он приезжал на фестивали на небольшой период времени, и потом он приезжал все больше, больше и больше, приезжал на месяц, на длительный срок, и его план был, чтобы постоянно находиться здесь.
So that was his plan. He was going to end up, retiring in Mayapur.
И он хотел здесь уже больше времени находиться и находиться на покое,
But
на пенсии.
I'm just thinking about one of my god sisters, Rasagya.
Я думаю о своей духовной сестре Расагья.
Some of you may have heard this story before, but she was one of the leading players in the Vaikuntha Players drama group.
Возможно, кто-то и слышал ее. Она одна из ведущих роли занимала в Вайкунтха-группе.
And a very vivacious kind of person.
Такая очень большая личность.
Vivacious, kind of energetic, attractive.
Она очень энергичная, очень привлекательная, харизматичная личность.
And I think she got cancer.
Я думаю, что у нее был рак.
So she was staying in a place where there were not many devotees.
И она говорила, что здесь много преданных.
I think she was in Austin, in Texas.
Она, я думаю, что она была из Техаса, да?
And she only had, I think, one or two devotees that were helping.
И у нее было один или два преданных, которые помогали ей.
So there was some debate at one point that the devotees should try to bring her back to Vrindavan.
И велись дебаты, переговоры, стоит ли ее привести во Вриндаван.
Yeah. Prior to her own disease, her ex-husband was Gaura-Nitai Prabhu.
И она посоветовалась со своим мужем, что ей лучше делать.
And Gaura-Nitai, he left his body due to cancer.
Потому что ее муж тоже оставил тело из-за рака.
And what had happened was they were separated as a couple.
Они находились отдельно друг от друга, как муж и жена.
And so Gaura-Nitai, he got cancer and he got very sick. It was a little problem just caring for him.
И она была очень больна, и нужно было заботиться о ней.
And Rasagya heard that he was very sick.
И Расагья узнал, что она очень больна.
So she suddenly decided, I'm going to take him to Vrindavan.
И она подумала, что нужно взять его во Вриндаван.
And with a lot of endeavor, she actually managed to take him back to Vrindavan.
Это стоило больших усилий, но она организовала все таким образом, чтобы отвезти его во Вриндаван.
And I think he left his body about a week later.
Я думаю, спустя неделю он оставил тело во Вриндаване.
Yeah, so that was Rasagya's. She felt duty bound to help him.
И Расагья это была, и она чувствовала свою ответственность для того, чтобы позаботиться о нем.
So similarly, some years later, she got cancer.
И спустя несколько лет у нее самой появился рак, был обнаружен.
And then there was a debate about whether she should be brought to Vrindavan to leave the body.
И они думали, переживали, обсуждали, нужно ли ей переехать во Вриндаван для того, чтобы оставить там тело.
Then apparently she had a dream.
И внезапно у нее был сон.
I'm not clear on details of it, but what I was told was that she had this dream Krishna appeared.
И я не знаю больших подробностей и деталей этого сна, но так или каким-то образом Кришна проявился в этом сне.
Or she heard a voice, some speaking to her.
Или она услышала некий голос, который говорил ей.
But the message was, Vrindavan is in your heart.
И послание было таково, что Вриндаван в твоем сердце.
So when she heard that, then she was happy.
Когда она услышала это, она была полностью счастлива.
And, obviously they didn't bring her to Vrindavan.
Ну да, это принесло Вриндаван в ее сердце.
She left the body there in Texas.
Она оставила тело, находясь в Техасе.
So anyway, the point is that Rajendranandana Prabhu, he had that plan himself. He wanted to leave his body in the Dham.
И так или иначе, смысл в том, что Раджендрананда Прабху, у него был этот план, он хотел оставить это тело в Дхаме.
And he was making his plans to do that.
И он планировал, чтобы сделать это.
Yeah. But anyway, Krishna had some other desire.
Это было его желание.
And it just made me think about that wherever a devotee is, that's Vrindavan.
И говорится, что там, где находятся преданные, это место и есть Вриндаван.
So it helps us, of course, living in the physical Dham.
Конечно, это помогает нахождение, проживание в физической Дхаме.
Yeah, you have a lot of support, you have a lot of association.
У нас здесь может быть много поддержки, много общения.
And the mood of devotional service is very tangible.
Настроение преданного служения очень сгущено здесь.
So we don't like to live and leave in the Dham.
Поэтому мы все жаждем, хотим жить и оставить этот мир здесь, в Дхаме.
Yeah. Sometimes Krishna allows us, sometimes he doesn't.
Иногда Кришна позволяет, иногда нет.
But wherever we are, that should be Vrindavan.
Но где бы мы ни находились, это место должно быть Вриндаваном.
It's like Srila Prabhupada.
Подобно Шриле Прабхупаде.
There's so many tirthas in the world from Prabhupada traveling there and preaching in, whichever place he was.
Столько много тирth было создано благодаря тому, что Шрила Прабхупада путешествовал по многим местам и проповедовал там.
And places of pastimes, Jamabhumi, places of departure, they become spiritualized by the devotees there.
И те места Джанмабхуми, где рождение, где лилы совершались, они являются тирхами, они являются святыми местами.
So the main thing is that one has to be sincere.
Самая главная вещь — это должна быть искренность.
Yeah. So Rajendranandana Prabhu, I think everybody that's dealt with him I like that phrase that somebody called him, he's a Prabhupada man.
И мне нравится эта фраза, когда говорили о нем говорили, что это человек Прабхупады.
Yeah. Amongst our God brothers, we often hear that, oh, he's a Prabhupada man.
Среди наших духовных братьев мы всегда часто могли слышать, когда говорили о нем, говорили, о, это человек Прабхупады.
Yeah, it's just nice to be thought of as that.
Хорошо думать о нем таким подобным образом.
So it kind of, it's an extra, not flattery, an extra word of praise to be identified in that way.
Это то, чем можно гордиться, с чем можно отождествить себя с этими словами.
Yeah. So we're celebrating the departure of a Prabhupada man.
И мы очень радуемся уходу таких преданных.
And we can pray to Rajendranandana Prabhu to help us fulfill the same destination that he has. And we're quite sure that he's attained.
И мы можем молиться ему, чтобы он помог нам достичь того места, где он находится сейчас, и мы вполне уверены, что он достиг очень возвышенного положения.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to finish the...
На этом я закончу.
Rajendranandana Prabhu ki.
Jai. Rajendranandana Prabhu.
Thank you, Harisori Prabhu. Hare Krishna, so we have a few devotees arriving. Welcome all of you to the to this festival. We have a few remembrances on video. We will be showing them throughout the program, because I don't want to inconvenience the devotees who are sitting here now. So maybe we can ask Drita Prabhu, would you like to speak now? Yeah? And yeah, we have, just to let you know, we have an offering from Chatura Mataji, who is his wife, Audio. And we also have Yudhishthir Prabhu, who was his god brother, who was with Prabhu at the time he left this world. And His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj also wanted to be here today, but because due to health reasons, he couldn't make it. So he's also going to send us a video offering. Rajendranandana Prabhu was he loved Maharaj, basically. Okay, Drita Prabhu.
Rajendranandana ki jai. So, thank you for inviting me, Prabhuji.
Спасибо
Thank you.
большое за то, что пригласили меня.
It's always very humbling when a god brother departs very nicely with great support.
Это очень замечательно, когда духовные братья оставляют этот мир с большой
I can
поддержкой.
recall Prabhuji in Mayapur over the last 10 years, 5 years in particular.
5 лет я уже знаком с этим Прабху здесь, в Майяпуре.
And as Hari Suri was saying, he was constantly coming more and more every year.
Как Харишаури Прабху уже сказал, он постоянно больше и больше приезжал и проводил времени здесь, в Майяпуре.
And when we would have, in particular, meetings here in the community hall,
И когда у нас была здесь встреча в этом месте,
and we were glorifying the departed guru or sannyasi or Prabhupada disciple,
и мы прославляли тех гуру и учеников Прабхупады, которые оставили этот мир.
and when it was his turn to speak,
И когда настало время ему говорить,
he would display very learned shlokas and realizations.
он поделился со всеми очень особыми шлоками и очень глубокими реализациями.
And also, he displayed some very unusual internal aesthetic symptoms.
И он очень показал свои очень глубокие экстатические признаки внутренние.
So we don't know what was going on internally,
Мы не знали, что внутри у него происходит.
but he was experiencing things on a very different level.
Но он испытывал какие-то глубокие чувства на совершенно другом уровне.
Anyhow, so during 2014, I was working with Krishna Lola Mataji.
В 13 и 14 году я работал с Матаджи Кришналал.
Many of you may have known who she was.
Может быть, многие из вас знают эту
And
Матаджи, кто она была.
Initiated the Srila Prabhupada disciple reunion together.
И она получила посвящение Шрилы Прабхупады вместе с нами.
Many of them were forgotten, Indian, some of them Bengali disciples
Некоторые из них были забытые бенгальские ученики,
who had been forgotten,
о которых забыли.
or they had lost their way in spiritual life.
Или они потеряли свой путь в духовной жизни.
So I put this mood into the reunion, and many of them came forward, and some of them were well known.
И я попытался
But I was just reading my list,
сознание воссоединения и помочь им.
many of them that attended. The wife of Shankarshan, Sachimata, has departed. Jad Bharat Das Brahmachari, he departed. They attended, but they departed not long afterwards.
Они вот эти все личности присоединились, но они оставили этот мир незадолго.
And amongst the Western disciples,
И среди западных учеников
Ganaganyam, the husband of Mahamaya,
Ганя-Ганя, муж Махамаи,
Ramadevi, passed on.
Рамадеви из Бостона,
Pankajanri, passed on.
Панкаджангри оставил.
So it's very important when we have these type of gatherings,
Это очень важно, когда у нас есть такие встречи.
to remember that those that still are here on this side,
Для того, чтобы помнить, что те, кто еще находится по эту сторону,
that they share their Srila Prabhupada memories,
чтобы они делились воспоминаниями о Шриле Прабхупаде,
and we have their personal association before they depart.
и что у нас есть общение с ними до того, как они оставят этот мир.
That's more valuable
И это мы очень ценим.
than trying to dig out his past when he's already departed.
И пока не наступил тот момент, когда они оставят этот мир.
So one time I was asking him, I befriended him at various occasions. I didn't know him that well, but I asked him, I said, when you were in America, because that's where he resided mostly,
Однажды я спросил у него, когда он был в Америке, потому что он проводил там больше всего времени.
when the turmoil within our own society happened, turmoil means disturbance,
Когда беспокойство в нашем обществе
with
случается, термин,
self-elected.
да, или когда взрывы или турбуленции.
And I asked him about how that affected him.
Я спросил, как тебя это задевает?
And he said, well, we had a small group of like-minded God brothers
И он говорит, у меня есть маленькая группа единомышленников, духовных братьев.
in a reclusive situation in a
Мы находимся
remote place.
в отделенном, закрытом месте,
And we just gave each other strength.
и мы даем друг другу силу.
And we didn't get involved in any politics.
И мы не вовлечены ни в какую политику.
So I thought that was quite nice.
Подумал, это достаточно хорошо.
He seemed to be quite a private person.
Он был такой личностью или изолированной личностью.
And the only time that he really came out when he was speaking in public.
И единственный момент, когда его можно было узнать, когда он говорил публично.
And it's very clear how he loved the previous acharyas
И очень ясно было видно, как он любит
and
предыдущих.
quoted them extensively.
И он очень часто цитировал их.
I thought that was very impressive.
И это очень сильно впечатляло.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dhrida Prabhu. Yes, Rajendranandana Prabhu was very keen on speaking of the previous acharyas. Many years ago, he was giving classes regularly here on the Mayapur tourism on the previous acharyas. And he took great pleasure in giving classes. And one thing I particularly appreciated about him, it was that he will speak from the heart.
Он очень много давал лекций, ачарьев. И что мне больше всего запомнилось, понравилось, что он от всего сердца говорил, из глубины своего сердца.
And he had the ability to actually enter into the heart of the devotees
У него была способность достучаться до самого сердца преданных
and touch them per life.
и произвести изменения в их жизни.
He will often cry in his classes.
Он очень часто плакал на своих лекциях.
And he was a very sensitive, very subtle person. Like Jananivas Prabhu was making the point that if someone will have something which was slightly out of line, he will immediately pick it up.
И когда он очень был чуткой, чувствительной личностью, когда что-то где-то как-то происходило, выходило из рамок, он всегда это умело поправлял.
And sometimes he would laugh really loud and we didn't even know what he was laughing about.
И иногда он очень громко смеялся, и мы не могли понять, что является причиной его смеха.
He will pick something up because it was so subtle.
Он что-то выбирал или подмечал, но это было очень тонким.
I remember Pankajangir Prabhu will ask, what are you laughing about? You know?
Я помню, иногда Панчкачандри спрашивал, слушай, а почему ты смеешься?
We'll really miss him for that kind of loving disposition he had towards the devotees.
И мы очень скучаем за ним и за его любовным отношением ко всем преданным.
I don't know if any of the God brothers here have seen a photograph They've seen a photograph of him recently in Facebook where he's with Srila Prabhupada and he's like electrified. I don't know if anybody can recall what was happening at that.
There's one, I don't know if it's first meeting or not, but Srila Prabhupada is in the background and he's extremely emotional, crying, his faces, because he's received not just Rasgula, anyone can get Rasgula, but his heart is melting, appreciating the mercy he's received from Srila Prabhupada. Not just the Rasgula, but his whole life changed by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's very amazing. Is it the picture you're talking? He's like he's melting in love of God, love of his Guru, our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, appreciating what he's received from Srila Prabhupada. He just can't maintain composure. It's a very wonderful picture.
So I'm going to play Chatura Mataji's glorification of her own husband. It's just a sound voice message. I don't know how it's going to work. I hope it works okay with the microphone. Actually, obviously she was very close to Prabhu, and I personally witnessed that they had because we were neighbors, they have a very close relationship, and Prabhu, apart from being an excellent devotee, he was an excellent husband. And I do recall that on my wedding, he actually gave a speech, and the devotees, His Holiness Keshava Bharati Maharaj and Niranjan Swami were there at the wedding, and Maharaj told me that on the way back to where they were just praising Rajendranandana Prabhu for his speech, on how to be a good husband. So, okay, let's start.
Thank you, Radhika Nagara, for asking me to speak this about departures of beloved Rajendranandana. Srila Prabhupada was chanting. Tulsi, sacred Tulsi was nearby, surrounded by loving devotee friends, having kirtan, garlands of flowers, Tulsi around his neck, Lord Nrsingadev oil with pictures of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Nrsingadev, Jagannath, and Mother Yashoda and Damodar nearby. He left his body breathing Krishna's names with a beautiful smile on his lotus face. Immediately a Brahmin entered the room. There was a ceremony with prayers and chanting and the devotees throwing flowers. The cremation will be probably tomorrow. With Krishna's mercy, his ashes will go to Mother Ganga in his beloved Mayapur Dham. One home hospice worker became a devotee due to seeing Rajendranandana and said in all her years of work she never saw the saintly smiling face as his on any departed soul. Jai Prabhupada. Also, some qualities that I cannot really do justice to describing, but Raj was a happy devotee who deeply loved Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada devotees. He was mild and was respectful to all people. Since his initiation, he chanted his rounds every day. He loved prasadam and prasadam times with his brothers, the twins. He had great determination. He was an astute scholar, always reading and chanting. Great sense of humor. And this is no exaggeration. In our 36 years of marriage, he was kind to me every second of every day, and he was a responsible, loving father to our son Aja at all times. There are no words to describe how much we will miss him. This most special, sweet devotee whose joy was preaching for his beloved Father Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Finally, his one instruction to me was, and maybe to all of devotees, he said, Chatura, don't waste time. He was very inspired to encourage devotees about fearlessness, and how to obtain it, and to have gratitude. An addendum to this, the mercy that Prabhu got, the doctors could not understand how he didn't have pain in his body. It was a kind of a miracle. He didn't take medicine. And Raj, from the beginning, when he heard the diagnosis, he said, oh, this is my ticket back to Godhead, back to Prabhupada, back to Krishna. Jai. And I thought I would be unable to do this, dear Radhika Nagara and family. But first thing, today I was sent a talk Raj gave on the 25th anniversary of Prabhupada's leaving. We were in Vrindavan. Raj was on the stage speaking about how powerfully Prabhupada spoke and preached. And I got a deeper realization hearing this again today that Rajendranandana was not mine. He was a Prabhupada's preacher, devotee of Krishna, and this has given me much solace. So again, whoever hears any of this, please accept my humble obeisances, and our son Aja also sends his humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, Guru Gauranga, Gauranga.
Chatura Mata ki jai, Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. Was it audible? Could you hear? Yeah.
Like Srila Prabhupada left it, he closed all the gates of his body, his eyes, nose. So Rajendranandana also, he did that for the last couple of days. He stopped communication. It means he's closing all the gates. He didn't eat, he didn't have to drink. Nothing, all the gates were closed. This was exactly how Prabhupada was. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Он последовал примеру Шрилы Прабхупады. В то же время, как
We have to
Шрила
go
Прабхупада
now.
оставлял тело, он закрыл все врата тела. То же самое в Раджананда Прабху. Он не ел, не пил, закрыл глаза и погрузился именно в подготовку к оставлению этого тела, подобно Шриле Прабхупаде.
I would like to thank Jananivas Prabhu for coming. He has to go because some other devotee, who unfortunately I don't know his name. What's his name? Even know. Arun Daksha? Parandaya Prabhu, also senior brahmachari here in Mayapur, left this world. So Prabhu has to attend the festival on the memorial service for him. So thank you, Jananivas Prabhu, for coming.
Харе Кришна. Джананивас Прабху нужно сейчас уйти, потому что другой старший брамачари также оставил этот мир, и ему нужно сейчас отправиться на другую церемонию и там провести программу.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu, he preached by example, and he will, make this point again. This one thing that kind of I learned from him, that it's not about reading the books, or it's more about seeing the example
the devotees, how they live, and you becoming an example yourself. Every year for his birthday, luckily enough, it was at the time he will spend his birthday here in Mayapur. He will invite the transcendental twins, Janani Vaspar Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu. And it was just a small gathering. We'll take prasadam. And that was like the sweetest times. And Prabhu, Sarvadrik Prabhu was making the point about Priti Lakshana, loving exchanges. This is the greatest fuel for our Krishna consciousness. Nothing gives us so much inspiration and faith. And he was a living example of that. With those people who are close to him, he was such a loving friend, loving father, loving devotee, loving teacher. And that will remain forever for those who knew him, and how he had that kind of loving. And he made that emphasis on developing and cultivating loving relationships with the devotees. So much. And he will insist in this point of, not being pretentious. He didn't want to wear the Prabhupada disciple hat, and just be like a humble servant of the devotees. He will take great pleasure. He was so attached to, passing on the lamp in the temple. We will come during the time that he was here, every day he will, give the lamp in such a personal way. It wasn't like he was just kind of getting it done. He was going to everybody very purposefully, offering the ghee lamp.
Hare Krishna, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to my God brothers. Raghuనందana Prabhu, I just met him in passing, so I remember him in New Vrindavan in the early 70s.
Я помню его в 70-х, в начале 70-х годов в Новом Вриндаване.
He was very bright-faced and always smiling.
У него было очень яркое лицо, он всегда улыбался.
And very friendly to all the devotees.
Очень дружелюбно относился ко всем преданным.
In the later days, in the 90s, I happened to encounter him at a county fair in Seattle, Washington. A county fair.
Позже, в 90-х, я рассчитывал на него.
A lot of us devotees, we would meet each other in these fairs in the 90s, having taken householder life. And Raghuనందana was, he was selling these fancy mops, and he was on a stage, and, lots and lots of people were listening to his sales pitch.
Он продавал какие-то современные или модернизированные карты, и множество людей слушали его речь о продаже.
Being Sankirtan devotees, we always were trying to sell things.
На Санкиртан мы все время пытаемся продать вещи,
to support our families.
чтобы поддержать свою семью.
So what I noticed was he was always bold enough to try and give his customers Srila Prabhupada's books.
И что я заметил в нем, это было то качество, что он очень смело и решительно давал своим клиентам книги Шрилы Прабхупады и Шрилу Прабхупаду.
This would be at great risk of being thrown out of the fair.
Это очень большой риск быть выброшенным.
But he was dauntless in giving Srila Prabhupada to everyone at all times.
Но он никогда не переживал, он не стеснялся давать Шрилу Прабхупаду при любых обстоятельствах.
And this served as an inspiration to all of us.
Это служение является большим вдохновлением для всех нас.
His realization must have been that anyone that comes in touch with Srila Prabhupada, their lives will eventually become perfect.
Его реализация была такова, что любой, кто хотя бы раз пришел в соприкосновение с Шрилой Прабхупадой, его жизнь изменится, и она достигнет совершенства.
So my understanding was that his compassion and love for Srila Prabhupada and his compassion for his fellow human beings was very, very deep.
И моя реализация, что его сострадание ко всем живым существам, его сострадание ко всем преданным и его отношения с Прабхупадой очень глубоки.
And he'd always do it with that big smile on his face.
И он все это делал с большой улыбкой на лице.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So I would like to invite Guru Seva Mataji. She wrote a letter to Prabhu just a few weeks ago, just before he passed.
Мы хотим пригласить Матаджи, которая написала письмо буквально за несколько дней до того, как он оставил.
Guru Seva Mataji has been living in Mayapur for many years.
Матаджи живет в Майяпуре уже
Her
несколько лет.
former husband, Grahila Prabhu, was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, editor for many of the books of the different devotees.
Она является
And
редактором книг Шрилы Прабхупады.
She knew Prabhu very well.
И она очень хорошо знала Прабхупаду.
So yeah, 2010, my husband, Rahila, Prabhupada disciple, left the body here in Mayapur. And Rajendranandana Prabhu was leading the final kirtan. And yeah, like this, my husband left the body. So they are together now in Goloka Vrindavan, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Мой муж оставил этот мир в какое-то время назад, и Раджананда Прабху, он вел божественный киртан в этот момент, и поэтому сейчас они находятся на Галоке вместе, вне всяких сомнений, без сомнений.
So this is just about little bit more than 2 weeks ago, 23rd October, I wrote a letter to him.
И 23 октября я написала письмо ему.
Dear Rajendranandana Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance.
Дорогой Раджендрананда Прабху, пожалуйста, прими мои смиренные поклоны.
Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Все слова Шриле Прабхупаде.
Sorry.
Простите.
Okay. With sadness, my daughter Janavi informed me yesterday, so 2-3 weeks ago, about your health condition.
С прискорбием я узнал от своей дочери о вашем состоянии здоровья.
My first reaction, oh no, it looks like I'm not getting your association in this lifetime anymore.
И первая реакция моя была, что я не смогу получить твоего общения в этой жизни больше.
Instead, it seems like Grahila will get yours again soon.
Похоже, что мой муж увидит тебя вскоре.
My greatest grief is your dear wife, Chatura. How will she endure the loss of one of the best gentlemanly husbands, Vaishnava, in this world?
Я очень сильно переживаю за ту скорбь, которую будет испытывать жена, которая потеряет самого лучшего мужа на земле.
It moves me to tears. It's actually, I'm crying mainly now because of hearing her memory. So, yeah.
Вызывает большие слезы у меня, потому что когда я читала ее подношение ему.
On your last visit to Mayapur, when you were doing the Guru Puja Arti to Srila Prabhupada, I felt that you were ready to go back to Godhead.
Когда я видел, как вы совершаете Гуру Пуджу Шрилы Прабхупаде, я чувствовал, что вы готовы вернуться домой обратно к Богу.
But are we ready to lose your association?
Но готовы ли мы потерять общение с тобой?
That's another story. With Srila Prabhupada's mercy, I trust Sri Sri Radha Madhava that their decision is perfect.
В тот момент, когда мы предаемся Шри Рада Мадхава, наша жизнь становится совершенной.
And the last conversation between us was so transcendental that I wanted to share something with you later, but suddenly you were gone from Sri Mayapuram.
Последняя наша беседа, которая состоялась, она была полностью трансцендентна. Я хотела поделиться с тобой, но внезапно ты уехал из Майяпура.
So I ask you about the exact spot where the first meeting, embrace took place of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda at Nanda Acharya's house.
Я хотел спросить, где непосредственно находится то самое место, где произошла встреча Господа Чайтанья и Нитянанды, да, в доме великого преданного?
Was it in the courtyard or in the house of Nanda Acharya?
Было ли это в доме или в прихожей Нандачарьи?
I told you that I'm meditating on it to do a painting.
Я делилась с тобой, что я хочу нарисовать картину эту.
Now, after over a year, I can't remember your exact words, but you said something like, this spot place is everywhere. Such a transcendental vision. This is what I say. Such a transcendental vision.
Спустя годы я не помню точных слов, как ты ответил, но я помню, что ты говорил, что это место, оно находится везде. И мне это очень понравилось, это трансцендентное видение.
Then that night I had a dream that confirmed your vision in another context about the Ganga River.
И во сне мне пришло видение, которое стало подтверждением тех слов, которые ты говорил, и это было в форме реки Ганги.
Many years ago, I was able to get darshan from my window by the Ganga River, Gangamai, but since many years through to more buildings, not anymore.
На протяжении долгого времени я имела возможность иметь даршан Ганги, реки, но из-за последнего времени многих конструкций и строительств я не могу получать даршан Ганги больше.
But that night, in the dream, I could see Ganga out of my window again. It was a beautiful experience, a deeper understanding, revelation of the Holy Dham. Thank you. That dream I wanted to share with you.
Но в своем сне я вновь смогла увидеть Гангу, получить ее даршан, и вот этим сном я хотела поделиться.
Thank you for letting us know what's wrong with your body, who you are not.
Спасибо, что ты поделился, что происходит с твоим телом, которым ты не являешься.
Thank you for your exalted association.
Спасибо за твое возвышенное общение.
Thank you for helping Grahila back to Godhead.
Спасибо за то, что ты помог Рахиле вернуться домой обратно к Богу.
Thank you for coming many times to my home to celebrate.
Спасибо за то, что ты много раз приходил ко мне домой для того, чтобы праздновать.
Grahila's departure to Goloka Vrindavan.
Праздновать Рахилу от возвращения на Галоку Вриндавана.
Thank you for your memory about Grahila and feedback for my most intense grieving story in the book. Please take me home where I still work on it.
Спасибо за ту обратную связь, которую дал, которая была описана в книге.
You wrote to me, dear Guru Seva Madaji. So only this was 10 years ago, not that he wrote now.
Он мне написал следующее.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Nishingadev.
Все слава Прабхупаде и Нрисимхадеву.
Thank you for sharing this wonderful account of your emotional experience and growth in Krishna consciousness.
Спасибо, что поделился своим эмоциональным переживанием.
Krishna's mercy comes in so many ways, and it's beneficial for all concerned to hear and chant these pastimes.
Милость Кришны приходит разными способами, и мы можем видеть в этих лилах.
May the devotees and the Lord continue to bless you in this service.
Многие преданные продолжают благословлять тебя в этом служении.
I look forward to hearing more. Your servant Rajendranandana Das.
Я хотел бы услышать больше, твой слуга Раджендрандана Дас.
So never he heard more of it. So I did a little, how you say, a summary. And I sent him now a few things which I don't read, what will be in the book. I humbly ask once more for your blessings that this book will please our exalted Guru Parampara.
Он написал больше, но мы только основные части выбрали, остальное будет в книге, и здесь он приносит поклоны.
My best wishes for you, your kind wife and son, to go through this journey together successfully. The mercy of the Vaishnavas around the world is with you all. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
Всемилость всех преданных и всех вайшнавов всегда находится с тобой. Харибол, Харибол.
Your humble and forever grateful, but now a little sad, servant Guru Seva Devi Dasi.
Твой слуга и всегда благодарный тебе, Гуру Сева Дева Даси.
Thank you, Guru Seva Mataji. His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. So I got, Prabhu told me once, a long time back, he said that he had a good chart. But I just got a message from Chatura Mataji that Shyamasundar Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, that he's a famous astrologer within the movement, and he wrote, I'll read it to you as a short message. It's interesting. He says, one thing is for sure, he was a rare soul of a very high order. There is no doubt in my mind that he went back to Godhead. I feel fortunate that I knew him. I always liked him, and I hope that you paid my respects to him.
Я всегда знал его, и я надеюсь, что ты передал поклоны мои для него.
He has 3 Mahapurusha yogas plus 8th and 9th Lord are Swakshetra.
У него было хорошее расположение звезд.
And Lagna Lord exactly conjoined the Raja Yoga Karaka. Highly unusual in a good way. Dasanudasa Shyamasundar Das.
У него было очень необычное расположение звезд, очень благоприятное.
I don't know if it was at the time that Pankajangri Prabhu left, or maybe before. We were discussing about Prabhupada disciples leaving this world.
Я не знаю, были ли вы здесь, когда был Панкаджангри, мы обсуждали в том моменте, как преданные оставляют этот мир.
And how, Prabhu that left this world and Yamastam is home. I forgot his name now. Nirguna Prabhu, how he, just before he left, he got an invitation.
И прежде чем как Прабху оставил этот мир, он получил приглашение.
He said, I'm waiting for an invitation.
Он говорил, что я жду приглашения.
And the devotees, at one point he was just giving indications that he was going to leave. And the devotees asked, have you got the invitation yet? And he said, yes.
И он давал намеки преданным, что он собирается оставить. И в этот момент он сказал, что он получил приглашение.
So it's very remarkable that Prabhu, he got this, notice about having the 4th stage cancer. And without any hesitation, he just prepared to leave, And he, as Jananivas Prabhu was saying, I got my ticket back home, back to Godhead.
Это удивительно, как произошло, что он ждал этого приглашения. Когда он узнал в своем диагнозе 4-я степень рака, он сказал, как сказал Джаннивас Прабху, я получил свой билет.
He embraced the situation and he just absorbed himself in hearing and chanting.
Он принял эту ситуацию, как она есть, и я видел, как он сидел, слушал и повторял.
In the association of the Vaishnavas.
В обществе преданных.
And in a very glorious way, he left this world, chanting the holy names.
Очень возвышенным образом он оставил этот мир, воспевая святые имена.
And his body was emaciated also, so thin. It's a very painful type of cancer, death, actually.
На самом деле это очень болезненная смерть, когда тело тебя полностью распирает изнутри.
No pain.
Никакой боли.
No pain.
Без боли.
So when I was saying before, that he said about the philosophy that it's about exemplifying the philosophy, but also, how you exemplify the philosophy by really understanding the philosophy, hearing and chanting.
И он показывал пример, как мы должны понимать философию, когда происходит с нами. Чем он занимался? Он занимался слушанием и воспеванием.
And he showed by example, right, at the last final test, how to, embrace death.
И он на собственном примере показал, как в последний момент необходимо обнять смерть.
Brajavilas Prabhu, would you like to speak something? Brajavilas Prabhu is one of the co-directors in Mayapur. I mean, everybody knows, we know, but those who maybe are watching online, he's a disciple of Radhanath Swami, and he's doing a wonderful seva also with the TOVP, leading the efforts with the TOVP for the last so many years.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashtata Deshadharine Ajana Lambito Bhujao Kanakavadato Sankirtanike Pitaro Kamalaya Daksha Vishwambaro Dujabaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Karunavataro Karunavataro. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Rajendranandana Prabhu was very, very dear to the temple of Vedic Planetarium.
Раджендрананда Прабху был очень дорог нашему проекту планетария.
When he left his body 2 days before, 3 days before? Okay, 4 days before. I was remembering about him. He used to always ask me, Prajvalas, when is this temple going to be completed? He used to speak like this in a very deep voice, and he used to laugh. And that memory I still have.
Когда он оставил этот мир, это тело 4 дня назад, я вспоминал о нем, когда он подходил ко мне и очень настойчиво и спрашивал: Вражавилас, когда мы будем праздновать открытие планетария?
We used to every day meet him. Caitanya Prabhu also remembers this. We used to meet him in Jananivas Prabhu's quarters in Panchatattva every day in the morning before Darshan Arti. We used to meet him and we used to discuss. And every time he will bring, what is happening? What is the status? What is the status of construction? When it is going to be completed? So he was very much eager to see this completed for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada.
Каждый раз мы встречались с ним перед Панчататтвой в этом холле, и он все время спрашивал, как проходит стройка, когда закончится, и он очень жаждал увидеть окончание этой стройки для удовлетворения Шрилы Прабхупады.
In 2015, we took Lord Nityananda Paduka and went all around America for 4 months, and he said, I will meet you in California in LA Temple. When we were here, when we were making the plan. And we met him in California Temple. He helped us so much in our fundraising in LA Temple when we were doing the fundraising effort. He was instrumental. He himself donated, and he also told all his friends, all his god brothers to donate for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. And he was a great source of friendship for Jananivas Prabhu in California. He was very good friends with him, and when Jananivas Prabhu, when he was with Rajendranandana Prabhu, he used to be always happy in his association. That I personally saw that when Rajendranandana Prabhu used to come and meet Jananivas Prabhu, Prabhu would light up and he would reveal so many things to him, and they used to have a very good conversation. So, I still remember those incidents today when as I'm speaking to all of you today.
В 2015 году, когда у нас была программа по сбору средств, я путешествовал, и Раджананда Прабху лично приглашал меня, чтобы я приехал в Калифорнию. Когда я приехал к нему, то он очень сильно помог со сбором средств. Он лично, непосредственно сделал свой вклад в развитие ведического планетария, и также он просил всех своих друзей, чтобы они также поучаствовали в этой программе по сбору средств. И это было очень уникальным событием. Он очень сильно горел этим проектом. И также он, когда встречался с Джаннивасом Прабху, он очень глубоко общался с ним, и это очень сильно вдохновляло Джанниваса Прабху. Он озарялся счастьем и энергией.
And his smile, I think many of you might have spoken, his smile, which was very unique. And everybody, when we speak to him, we wanted to have that smile. With that smile, you get so much inspiration. So you really feel that, yes, Krishna consciousness is all about being happy. So he had that smile. He had that unique smile. And today, he is no more with us. And we hope that he is smiling today on all of us and encouraging us that we are dedicated to the mission of Srila Prabhupada.
Я думаю, что многие сегодня уже говорили, отмечали его уникальную улыбку, когда он общался, он улыбался, и все хотели получить эту улыбку. И когда каждый видел эту улыбку, они вдохновлялись, и они понимали, что да, в сознании Кришны есть счастье, сознание Кришны это приносит улыбку. И когда сейчас он смотрит на всех нас, он улыбается и вдохновляет нас двигаться дальше по этому пути.
Lastly, from the chairman of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, Ambrish Prabhu, and the rest of the TOVP team, and from Mayapur management, from the co-directors, we lost our hero. We lost a great warrior in Srila Prabhupada army. We lost a very good friend. We lost a greater supporter of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. And we pray to His Grace Prabhuji, so that he bless all of us, inspire us, empower us, so that we, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, under the great empowerment and friendship of Rajendranandana Prabhu, we take it as a mission to complete this Temple of Vedic Planetarium, which he also very much wanted to see it open by 2024. We take his blessings today, and we thank him for all the services which he has dedicatedly done for Srila Prabhupada in his movement. And we are very, very grateful and thankful to Rajendranandana Prabhu. And I personally very, very grateful to Prabhu for his association, friendship, and love and care which he had given to me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Мы благодарим его за тот вклад, который он сделал. От лица всей команды ТОВП я хочу выразить те слова, что мы потеряли великого героя, воина, друга. И мы для его удовлетворения, мы просим его благословения, чтобы в 2024 году закончить строительство храма проекта ТОВП и порадовать его и предложить это Шриле Прабхупаде.
Thank you, Braja Vilas Prabhu. I just got a message from His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. So he's actually given the reason why he cannot come. And he came in touch with some COVID, infected person a few days ago. So he's therefore just keeping himself. He's not contacting the bodies just in case.
Я получил послание от Джайапатака Махараджа, который передает причину, по которой он не смог прийти сюда на встречу с нами, потому что он несколько дней назад был в контакте с личностью, которая болеет ковидом, и поэтому, чтобы все были в безопасности, он не пришел сюда.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I offer my humble obeisances to Rajendranandana Adhikari.
Я предлагаю свои поклоны.
He was a very consistent, good influence.
He was a very consistent, good influence.
I attended our
Могущественный
Christian
влиятельный.
parties.
And attended.
He had class in the temple.
He gave classes in the temple.
He lived in Mayapur and was a member of our community.
He lived in Mayapur and he was a member of our community.
Он давал лекции по Srimad-Bhagavatam, он был членом общины.
Personality.
He was always a positive personality.
Всегда был позитивной личностью.
It's actually a great loss that he has departed.
It's actually a great loss that he has departed.
На самом деле это большая утрата, что он ушел из этого мира.
He said he wanted to see me.
Он сказал, что он хотел встретиться со мной.
On a couple occasions during the Zoom call.
So I met him on a couple of occasions during the Zoom calls.
Несколько раз я встречался с ним по встрече с Зумом.
Janivas Prabhu was there.
One of the occasions, Jananivas Prabhu was there.
На одной из встреч с
And
Джаннивасом.
he requested that don't pray for his recovery.
He requested that don't pray for his recovery.
Его просьба была о том, чтобы мы не молились о том, чтобы он выздоровел.
In a Krishna conscious way.
He wanted to live in a Krishna conscious way.
Он хотел оставить этот мир в сознании Кришны.
Keep his consciousness always on Krishna.
Pray that he always keeps his consciousness on Krishna.
Молясь о том, чтобы быть всегда сознающим Кришну.
He allowed telling fast. During the Parikrama.
He loved telling the pastimes during Parikrama.
Он любил рассказывать игры во время парикрамы.
He participated in various activities.
He participated in various activities.
As a Prabhupada
Принимал
disciple,
участие в разных мероприятиях.
always encouraging others.
As a Prabhupada disciple, he was always encouraging others.
Будучи учеником Прабхупады, он всегда вдохновлял других.
I just wanted to offer my Shraddhanjali
So I just wanted to offer my Shraddhanjali
Я хотел предложить свои
at
сватанджали
this Smriti Sabha,
at this Smriti Sabha.
и Смрити Самба.
and I heard from the GBC members that he has taken various responsibilities
I heard from the GBC members that he had taken various responsibilities
over the years. He
Я
was
слышал
temple
от членов
president in
GBC,
San
что
Diego
He was
взял
temple president in
на
San
себя
Diego.
ответственность. Он был
and many
президентом
other
храма
services.
Сан-Диего.
Many other services he did.
Он совершал
Recently,
много служения.
he spent significant time in Mayapur.
Recently, he spent significant time in Mayapur.
Недавно большую часть времени он проводил в Майапуре.
I was very grateful to have that
his association.
So we are very grateful that we have had his
Мы очень
association,
благодарны, что у нас было общение с ним.
Contribution is priceless.
his contribution is priceless.
Его вклад бесценен.
I respectful, humble obeisances
I offer my respectful, humble obeisances
Я предлагаю свои почтительные поклоны
Rajendranandana Prabhu.
to Rajendranandana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami ki jai. Hare Krishna, we have a few more devotees arriving. Bhagavatamrta Prabhu, would you like to come? Thank you.
Smriti.
Bhagavatamrta Prabhu is one of the very senior members of Mayapur community for many years.
Bhagavatamrta Prabhu является одним из старших
Hare Krishna.
членов общины.
One time I was talking to Rajanandana. And I was telling him, Prabhu, your name is so hard. Still now I can't pronounce properly.
И однажды я разговаривал с Прабху, и я сказал: Прабху, я не могу правильно произнести.
Rajendranandana. It rose to the tongue. So he said, just call me Raj.
Он говорит: да просто меня Радж называй.
So okay, Raj it is. We have a little bit of association. And one time I remember talking to him. He said, Raj, so what do you do? You know, what is when you're not here in Mayapur? He goes back and forth between US and Mayapur.
Я у него спросил: Радж, а что ты делаешь, когда ты не в Майяпуре? Потому что он путешествовал из Майяпура в США.
So he told me, and I hope I get this correct, but I think he was driving the trucks in America, the big rigs, 18-wheelers. He was like driving, which, you can make a very good income for that.
И если я не ошибаюсь, то он мне сказал, что он управляет грузовиками, вот такие 18-колесные грузовики, и это приносит хороший доход.
So he's had the same program that many of us had, or some of us still have. He goes in the West, he does perform a job for a few months, come here and live in Mayapur, and then goes back in there like that in cycles.
И он цикличным образом делал то же самое, что многие из нас делают. Они отправляются на Запад, имеют работу, работают, и потом приезжают сюда, проводят время, и потом обратно возвращаются туда и продолжают работать. И так это происходит циклами.
So I was admiring Raj for his discipline and his commitment to take care of his family, take care of his life, and be Mayapur. He definitely is a Mayapur man. Raj. He's a Mayapur man. He is my friend.
Я хотел отметить его качество, такое как дисциплинированность. Он очень хорошо заботился о своей семье. Он приезжал в Майяпур, и можно сказать, он был человеком Майяпура. Я могу отметить это.
And yes, I was in those Bhagavatam classes when we hear the sonic boom laugh of Raj.
И я был на этой лекции, когда все могли слышать этот взрывной смех Раджа.
And you don't even have to turn your head, that's the sound signature of Raj, is there something making him laugh.
Даже не надо было смотреть, откуда идет смех. Все понимали, что это Радж, и что-то заставило его посмеяться.
So he was a good man, and he was a Mayapur man. He was one of us in here. And he is a dedicated devotee.
Он был человеком Майяпура, и он также был очень посвященным себе преданным.
A dedicated devotee of Sridhar Mayapur.
Преданным, посвятившим себя Майяпуру.
And I refuse to say he was my friend. For me, he is my friend. You see, because I feel Raj is right there behind the curtain, is within our grasp. He didn't go far away. He will be with us. He's attainable. And we still have that connection with him through our service in the Holy Dham in Mayapur.
Я говорю «был». На самом деле я не чувствую, что был. Он есть и является моим другом. И я чувствую, что он находится здесь, где-то за штором находится. И нас объединяет наше служение, которое мы совершали здесь, в Майяпуре.
So when I go to the Ganga and I do my prayers in there, I will add Raj as my secret friend and offer special Ganga Jal prayers for him. Add to my other friends that left before, and that is the connection. You always will be here with us.
В следующий раз, когда я отправлюсь на Гангу совершить омовение и поклониться, то я особую священную молитву произнесу в честь него, так же, как и я молюсь о других преданных, которые оставили уже этот мир ранее.
He is one of those people that you can tell he left the world in a better place than when he came in.
И это личность, про которую можно сказать, что он оставил это место ради лучшего места, в котором он находится сейчас.
And he left an example for us to follow.
И он оставил для нас пример, которому мы можем следовать.
So I have a prayer for his family. I know he left a wife. I think he have children. And so I have a prayer for them, for him. And I ask the blessings, all the devotees for our Raj. He forever be with us. And so it's part of the history now. Thank you so much. Raj Ki! Haribo!
Я молюсь о его семье, у него осталась жена, и, похоже, у него остались
Thank you, Bhagavatamrita Prabhu.
Он является частью истории.
So His Holiness Jayabhataka Maharaj was mentioning how Rajendranandana Prabhu was such a good influence in Mayapur. Many devotees have expressed how his presence was felt very much, either through his laughter in the classes or his regular attendance to the morning program. I just like to mention that in relationship to Rajendranandana Prabhu in the West, he had a humble job as a salesman. He was selling things, and he was working really hard for all the time he was outside of Mayapur, just to come to Mayapur and be with the devotees. And sometimes he will arrive at 1 a.m. and, after a long journey all the way from San Diego, and he will attend the morning program. He will go straight to Mangalarti. Take a quick shower, put dhoti on and tilak, go to Mangalarti, and he will not miss one single morning program during his whole stay. He had such an enthusiasm about the morning program, Mangalarti, and you could see he loved it so much. And he loved the Mayapur project. Raja Vilas was mentioning about the TOVP. His heart was really here. And so I would like also to mention that he didn't hold any great position as a guru or sannyasi. He was a very simple person. He was really focused on consciousness. I mean, he had the position of being a Prabhupada disciple, which is very, very high, of course, but he was a very simple person. He just focused on the basics, the fundamentals. So attentive to consciousness. He expressed to me one time he had an opportunity to actually make a lot of money through some, job which was kind of compromising a little bit with the principles. It wasn't such a big thing, but he didn't take it. He just kept his life. He was like, it's been mentioned, he was a Prabhupada man, following Prabhupada's instructions. That was his life and soul. Simple for the simple, he attained the highest destination. Krishna makes such a wonderful arrangement for him. So I would like to invite Harilila Prabhu. He's one of our former MAC members. And Nanda Prabhu followed the simple path, attain the highest destination. We follow the simple path the same way as he did. We attain the same destination.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So my first introduction to Rajendranandana Prabhu was with his laugh. Like,
Первая моя встреча была с Раджананданой Прабху, это встреча, когда он смеялся.
like many of you would have got introduced to him, probably like that. Because I was sitting in a Bhagavatam class, and then suddenly I heard a person laughing so loud, I was quite taken aback. So I was thinking, who would laugh like this in a Bhagavatam class?
Я подумал, да кто может так смеяться на лекции по Бхагаватам?
And then, so I was very much interested in seeing that person because I could not see him from the place where I was.
Я находился сзади, поэтому я не мог видеть лицо личности, которая так смеялась.
So later I realized that my good fortune arose actually by seeing him.
И я позже осознал, что у меня большая удача, что я могу видеть его.
Because as Narottam Das Thakur sings, Darshane Pavitra Kuri. By seeing Vaishnava, one gets purified.
Потому что Нароттам Дас Тхакур поет, что просто видеть Вайшнава приводит к очищению.
As I knew more and more about him, and I heard his classes, and had little association with him, the very laughter which actually shocked me in the beginning became that attraction to see him more and more. So Krishna says, Krishna consciousness is susukam kartum avyayam. So Rajendranandana Prabhu was a proof, living proof of what it means, susukam. His laughter, his smile, it actually came from the soul. It was not from the body.
Его смех, его улыбка, его радость, она приходит не из тела, она исходит из души.
He was so beautiful when he used to laugh, when he used to smile. He was so beautiful.
Это очень было красиво, привлекательно, когда он смеялся, когда он улыбался. Это было очень красиво.
Sometimes I actually wondered how a person could be so happy.
Иногда я задавался вопросом, удивлялся, как может личность быть так счастлива.
Then I realized that if a person is relishing Krishna consciousness deeply within himself, then he can be happy like that. I still remember that Vyasasan was here, I was sitting and giving class. He was sitting here in this chair and he was listening to what I was speaking. And then when I finished my class, he gave a big smile.
И когда я закончил лекцию, я увидел большую улыбку.
Then he gently asked me a question.
И он вежливо спросил у меня вопросы.
I respectfully gave some answer.
Я с уважением дал ему ответы.
And then after we finished the class, and he came and spoke to me for 2-3 minutes.
После лекции мы с ним встретились и 2-3 минуты обсуждали.
He encouraged me to read Bhagavatam. He encouraged me to understand Prabhupada deeply. And he encouraged me to preach Prabhupada's message.
Он вдохновлял меня изучать Бхагаватам, читать книги Шрилы Прабхупады и распространять послания Шрилы Прабхупады.
It was such a wonderful experience to get instructed by him.
Потому что это замечательный опыт получить наставление от него.
So then I was always looking forward. The many people I missed during this lockdown of Mayapur, and he is prominently one of them. Even though I have not interacted much with him, or of course we know each other, but I don't have much interaction with him.
Несмотря на то, что я не часто с ним соприкасался, тем не менее мы знали друг друга.
But still he is one such personality. Just presence of him makes you feel the happiness of Krishna consciousness.
Но он был той личностью, в присутствии которого ты чувствуешь счастье сознания Кришны.
I was always thinking that he will come back and then we will sit in the class, he will laugh, I will hear, we'll go for parikrama together, he will give his nice, wonderful classes in the parikrama. I was just looking forward this year parikrama that he will be finally here. But when I saw the message, which was, I think, a Facebook message which was posted by Anantatirtha Prabhu on the forum, that he is leaving, I was shocked, thinking that, we are not going to see him again. So now his laugh is a memory which just remains with me.
И сейчас его смех — это является той памятью, которая останется со мной навсегда.
So hopefully one day, I don't know when, one day, hopefully, I will hear him laughing.
Надеюсь,
again sitting in company with him.
Однажды, в какой-то момент, я снова
By his
смогу
mercy.
услышать его смех по его милости.
And if that happens, I would consider myself most fortunate.
Если это произойдет, то я буду считать себя очень удачливым.
Rajendranandana Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Hare Lila Prabhu. So we have one devotee, Anupama Shivas Prabhu. He has written a small poem on glorification of His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu. So he will say in English and then he will pass it to you so you can read it, translate.
Hare Krishna. So, on the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada, His Grace Radhika Prabhu mentioned that this year we are celebrating 125th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada. So we don't know how many God brothers and sisters will be there to celebrate 150th birth anniversary of Srila Prabhupada. So I just tried to compile a poem. So the feelings are of His Grace Radhika Prabhu and other God brothers. And I just tried to compile the poem. So the title is We Are Leaving. So it is our time to leave. It is real but hard to believe. It is my anxiety what will happen to our society. A society which Prabhupada built with hard efforts and pain. Different color bodies sitting here today, that is the ultimate gain. We were young when joined the movement. Boosted energy was there to supplement. We did whatever we can in the allotted lifespan. When Prabhupada left, with a broken heart, we moved further. His lesson, which I always remember, to cooperate with each other and always live like a family together. We tried to continue Prabhupada's vision through Sankirtan and book distribution. Many challenges to face, but didn't hamper our running pace. Now, the responsibility lies with new generation to maintain the standards with awe and veneration. Please follow the Prabhupada's mood. Then the things will always flourish well and good. Oh, my dear new successors, please remember the sacrifice of predecessors. Don't let the false ego in between, which hit very hard, although unseen. So this all what I want to say on this very memorial day. Never get discouraged with temporary discomfort. Read, hear, and follow Srila Prabhupada purport. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Rajendranandana Prabhu.
So we're gonna now thank you, Prabhu, very much for the poem. We're gonna play now a video. It's gonna be translated. I'm just gonna make an announcement quickly. We're gonna play a video now of Rajendranandana Prabhu leading a kirtan across the Ganga. Short video, followed by Vaisheshika Prabhu's offering and Yudhishthir Prabhu. May I request the Prabhupada disciples to please maybe move your chairs or turn them around so you can. It's a very short video, but it's very nice. We can remember His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu, and then followed by Vaisheshika Prabhu's offering. Rajendranandana Prabhu, actually, he was 2 years ago, just as the COVID pandemic hit, he retired fully
And then his plan was, I mean, Janani was mentioned something that he was planning to move to Vrindavan. That was like a confidential, very confidential thing. I didn't know about it. But it just so happened that in the last 2 years, he decided to wind up and fully focus on Krishna consciousness. And it seems like Krishna had a plan for him. So this was one of the last videos of him being in Mayapur.
Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Kesava Madhavati Nagaya. 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 Govinda, Jai Gopal, Kesava Madhavati Nagara. Jai Govinda, Jai Gopal, Kesava Madhavati Nagara. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki. So now we're gonna hear from Vaisheshika Prabhu, who is currently in London. Vaisheshika Prabhu was very close to Rajendranandana Prabhu. Rajendranandana Prabhu will take part in his yearly yatras, in Vaisheshika Prabhu's yearly yatras, and contribute with his wonderful speeches, and they are very long time friends.
I'm mourning the disappearance of my dear friend and godbrother, Rajendranandana Prabhu, and joining with all of you in the grieving process. Srila Ramananda Roy told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the only lamentable aspect of life for a devotee is separation from the Vaishnava. And Rajendranandana Prabhu was a Vaishnava through and through, to the very core. When I saw him most recently for our yatra, which he used to attend every year, and bring life because of his mood of intense hearing and chanting and pure devotion and his jovial nature, he said, Vaisheshika, I just want to hear. He reached this level of intense greed for hearing about Krishna. Anytime we were together, the topic turned to Krishna Katha because of Rajendranandana Prabhu. And when he was on our yatras, he was constantly studying the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna so that he could speak about them to others. I spent time with Rajendranandana Prabhu when he was the Pujari in St. Louis, Missouri, and we kept in touch through the years, sparingly, but then came together very closely again over the last 4 years on our yatras. And I feel that Rajendranandana Prabhu was so ready to leave the world. Of course, we always wish we were more ready, but his mood was so intense in that he was constantly thinking about how to spread Krishna consciousness, how to be in the Dham, how to take association of devotees, and especially how to serve the Vaishnavas. That was his number one preoccupation. That when I heard about his passing and how he chanted in his last breath, I wasn't surprised, because he was on that level. We've lost such a great soul in Rajendranandana Prabhu. Dear Raj Prabhu, I miss you so much. I pray to be with you again on the yatras in the Dham, serving Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. Thank you for all you did for me and for all the devotees, and all glories to your service, and all glories to the exemplary way in which you passed from the world. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. So now we're going to hear from Yudhishthir Prabhu, who was also a very close friend of Rajendranandana Prabhu, and he was actually with him at the time that Rajendranandana left this world.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajanane Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschati Distanane Panchakaptrubhyascha Kipasinubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled Vaishnavas, all glories to Rajendranandana Prabhu. My name is Yudhishthir Das from San Diego. I have known Rajendranandana we've been friends for around 30 years. And I've known him when he was temple president of San Diego. I left San Diego for a while and came back and started doing some programs here, Bhakti Chakra programs, we called them, community programs. And Rajendra was a integral part of that. He was, although I know you all liked when he went to Mayapur, I didn't like when he went to, it was a wonderful thing he went to Mayapur for 6 months out of the year or whatever time it was. But, I always felt when I was doing these programs that, we talk about the purity and the force. Well, Raj was the purity and I was the farce. So when he left, I always felt it, and I was always eager when he came back. Eager because of his association, his knowledge, his determination. And that determination, what I saw, the last few weeks when he was diagnosed and leaving, and when he ultimately left back home, it was a great learning experience for me, and I was very honored because Rajendranandana called me a few weeks back, I don't know, 15 days ago, something like that, 18 days ago. And he said, I'm in the hospital. First thing he said to me was, I've got my ticket and I'm in line and I'm going back home. Something like that. And, since that moment, I never saw him falter in his determination. I was there for the last few days with him before he left, and I was saw him a few times the week before, and he never became materially sentimental. He never vacillated between I'm going back home or just determination. He never vacillated between that and regret, anything like that. He was just determined. He was, and I have to say that it was profound for me to experience that. And I would go and read to him a couple times, and books. I think Gaura-Nitai Das Thakur's books, and it was on Ross. We were reading on Govardhan Puja about the Govardhan, how the advent of Govardhan, and I remember I got felt that pastime in my heart in such a deep way that I knew it was kind of osmosis from Raj, because he's so steeped in that, and then I got this deep realization that that Raj is, I always knew he wasn't an ordinary person, but he was my close friend, so I looked at him as my close friend and an advanced devotee, and I knew that, but that was the last time, on that Friday before, the last time I saw him when he was speaking. And I told him, I always thought you were just my friend, but now I know who you really are. And he teared up and he smiled at me. And after that, I came back. He wasn't speaking, so we were chanting to him. I have to do a shout out to Jagannananda Prabhu and, his wife, Mother Chatura, and Aja, for keeping such nice care of him. And, it was emotional for Chatura, of course, but she's very Krishna conscious and knew that, he's going back home. So, these things, as we all know, anyone who's experienced these, they're confusing sometimes because you feel great joy, but you feel great sadness that, it's going to be some time before you see this great person. So, and Jagannananda Prabhu came, and he's an old friend of the family, and came and kept such nice care. Handled all the management, people coming, people going, making sure Chatura was resting, making sure everything was in order. It was amazing what he did, and we're so grateful for that. So, we were there, and we knew that he was leaving soon, and he had very short breath, and so we were waiting for 2 days. We were chanting to him. He was, you'd see him sometimes when Prabhupada was chanting, and he'd be moving, trying to move, and it was like he was trying to dance, because we all know how much Raj danced all the time in Kirtan. At one point, we thought it was a good idea to, a devotee decided that he was going to read some glorifications of Raj. And, Chatura tried to stop it, said, no, he doesn't like that. I was thinking the same thing, but the devotee wanted Raj to hear how much everyone loved him, and it was very nice, very well intended. But Raj, I was watching Raj, and he would swing his head back and forth like, no. And so we stopped that. It was a brief thing, but it showed me that he was clear, and he was focusing on Krishna. And as I said, there was never any material sentiment. No. When he called me on the phone, he said, he asked me to, from the hospital, he asked me to do a post. He said he would let me know in a couple of days when to do it. And then he called me a couple of days and told me, and he didn't want people praying. He wanted me to post on Facebook, but not tell people not to pray for his health or some miracle cure. He just wanted to the strength and the and the devotion to just think about Prabhupada and going back home and serving in whatever way Prabhupada desired. Like, as I said before, it was very, very life-changing for me to see, because I'm not so advanced, but he was determined. So anyway, the day that he left, I took a walk. Jagannananda and I said, let's take a little walk, because we've been, there a long time. And so we took a walk, and when we were out, we got the call that he left, and we came back. And Ujjeshwari, this very, very nice devotee, San Diego devotee, showed up, and Chatura, and there was 3 ladies there, and the brahmacharis were there, went to go get some, prasadam for everyone at the temple. And Bahushra, who was, old friend, very nice devotee, old friend of Raj's, he had stepped out into the other room, and then Ujjeshwari saw Raj. He hadn't spoken in 2 days, but he mouthed, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, and then he left. And it was a glorious departure. Raj went back home, back to Godhead, and he showed us all how to do it. And we love Raj very much, and it's a great blow to San Diego temple, devotees here, but Raj is back there. And I know Raj, he taught me that you pray to these Vaishnavas who have left. And so I'll be definitely praying to Raj for the kind of determination he has, for the taste for Shravanam Kirtanam that he has, and for his love for the Vaishnavas. And I guess that's about it. So thank you, Prabhus, and thank you for doing this. And all glories to you wonderful devotees. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. Achintya Chaitanya Prabhu, would you like to speak briefly?
I'll keep this short. But my interactions with Rajendranandana Prabhu have been very limited, but they have been very profound. I remember 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, I once gave a Bhagavatam class where I said in the class that we should not try to promote Srila Prabhupada as an avatar. Although we were neighbors, my interaction with Rajendranandana Prabhu was limited. We lived here in this building adjacent to each other. So once I gave a class where I mentioned that, Srimad-Bhagavatam class, where I mentioned that we should not try to promote Srila Prabhupada as an avatar, because Prabhupada himself did not promote himself like that.
Потому что Шрила Прабхупада сам не объявлял об этом.
And I remember after that class, he was very disturbed about what I had said.
И после этого лекции он сильно был обеспокоен тем, что я сказал.
And he started quoting evidence from Bhagavatam and other places where Prabhupada in one purport himself says, he refers to himself as Shakti Avatar Avatar. I was aware of that, but I was trying to convey that if we try to promote him like an avatar, then people will easily misunderstand that they may think he's God. We spoke a little back and forth during that interaction.
У нас было обсуждение взад и вперед на эту тему.
But what I noticed was after the class, when we were walking back home,
Но что я заметил, что после лекции, когда мы возвращались обратно домой,
he was determined to say, he was very concerned whether Prabhupada was being minimized.
И он очень сильно был обеспокоен, он думал, неужто преуменьшили значение Шрилы Прабхупады в этом моменте?
And he was pretty intense. He was really trying to say that, no, Prabhupada is a Shakti Avatar.
И он прям хотел сказать и подчеркнуть, нет, Шрила Прабхупада является Шактивеши Аватарой.
I did say that he is, but I was saying that we should not try to promote it.
Я не говорил об этом, но я именно подчеркнул тот момент, что мы не должны пропагандировать это и подчеркивать.
He differed with me on that. He felt that he should be promoted like that.
И он хотел победить меня, и он хотел сказать, что мы должны говорить таким образом.
Not just that day, but for days after that, whenever he would encounter me, he would hold me and try to speak to me.
Не только в тот день, но спустя другие позже он встречался со мной и продолжал эту же беседу.
So at one point, at that time, Gopiparandan Prabhu was still on the planet, and so I called Gopiparandan Prabhu and asked him to please clarify this point.
И в тот момент Гопи-Паранадхана Прабху еще присутствовал здесь, на этой планете, и я позвонил ему и попросил, чтобы он прояснил этот момент.
So I told him, so Gopi-Parandan Prabhu said, yes, Prabhupada is Shakti Avatar, but since he did not promote himself like that, we should also not promote Prabhupada like that. So then I mentioned this to Rajendranandana Prabhu.
И поэтому я упомянул об этом Раджанандандану Прабху.
But still he wouldn't relent.
Но все равно его это не успокоило.
So, but what I really noticed was, these conversations were not annoying with him.
Но что я заметил, что эта беседа никак не беспокоила его.
It was very endearing. In fact, it was very purifying.
Это был очищающий опыт.
Because he was very determined that Prabhupada should not be minimized.
Потому что он был полной решимостью, что мы не должны принижать значение Шрилы Прабхупады.
And I could relate very much to that.
Я очень согласен с этим и присоединяюсь.
Before he left for America during the lockdown, we were together before doing oil abhishek for Lord Narasimhadev.
И прежде чем наступил локдаун, мы вместе с ним совершали абхишеку Господу Нарисимху с помощью масла.
At that time, he told me that in his entire life, he has never gotten the flu.
И в тот момент он поделился со мной, что за всю жизнь он никогда не болел, не чихал, насморк.
His entire life, he said.
Он сказал, на протяжении всей жизни я никогда насморком не болел.
So for himself, he was not very concerned about the pandemic.
То есть лично себя он никогда не переживал по поводу всей этой пандемии.
Because he said, I meet all kinds of people.
Он говорит, потому что я встречался с разными видами людей.
And then something really strange happened before he left to America.
И очень интересная, странная вещь произошла перед тем, как он отправился в Америку.
He actually called me on the phone 2 days before he left.
За 2 дня до отправления он позвонил мне по телефону.
And he said, I'm going back to America.
И он сказал, я возвращаюсь обратно в Америку.
I don't remember having ever received a phone call from him.
Я никогда не помню, чтобы я получал телефонного звонка от него.
And I said, are you going to America? Now, during the pandemic, this is a good opportunity. Why don't you stay back here?
И я удивился и спросил, ты отправляешься в Америку? Почему? Это же хорошая возможность остаться здесь во время этой пандемии.
I don't remember the answer he gave, but he said something like he needs to go.
Я не помню ответ, который он дал точно, но что-то он объяснил, что ему нужно ехать.
Then he said, I called to ask you to please pray that I come back to Mayapur.
И он сказал, что я звоню тебе для того, чтобы попросить тебя, чтобы ты молился за меня, чтобы я вернулся обратно в Майяпуру.
So when I saw the posting that he's going to leave his body, I just couldn't believe it.
И когда я увидел ту новость, что он оставляет это тело, я не мог поверить в это.
I was so sure that he's going to come back.
Я был уверен, что он точно, наверняка вернется.
And after he left, I'm sure that he has come back, but we are not in a position to see him.
И когда он оставил мир, я уверен, что он вернулся, но мы не можем говорить о его позиции.
And as others have said, he has never left Mayapur, he's always in Mayapur.
И как многие говорят, что он никогда не покидал Майяпур, он всегда находится, пребывает в Майяпуре.
Thank you. His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki
jai.
Thank you very much. So we're just coming now to the end of the program. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj is on his way. He really appreciates Prabhu, and he had a class until 1 o'clock. So, but he really wanted to come and offer some words of appreciation for Prabhu. So in regards to Rajendranandana Prabhu being ready to go, it's been mentioned that he was ready to go. I recall two situations in his life. One of them, he told me personally, he was on a flight, and somehow there was some emergency landing taking place, like people were screaming in the flight, an accident was going to take place. And I believe he had the Giriraj Swami's book, Many Moons.
Я полагаю, что у него в руках была книга Гираджа Свами,
describing about different Srila Prabhupada's disciples living this world.
Которая описывает то, каким образом ученики Шрилы Прабхупады оставляют этот мир.
And he fixed his mind, and he was totally peaceful through the whole ordeal.
И он был полностью сосредоточен на этой теме, и у него был спокойный ум, и он медитировал на эту тему.
Eventually, obviously, he made it. There was no crash.
Не было никакой катастрофы, и он благополучно приземлился.
And there was another time that there was an earthquake. Sometimes in Mayapur we get these mild earthquakes, like some tremors.
И иногда у нас происходит такое небольшое землетрясение.
So this time was slightly harder than usual, and people in the building ahead were screaming. We had like, what's happening?
И когда происходит немножко больше землетрясения, то люди, которые находятся на верхних этажах, они начинают паниковать и кричать.
And I remember we living next door. He just came out of his apartment, like beaming, like it was shining.
Я помню, что моя квартира была напротив него расположена, и открылась дверь, и он сияющий вышел.
I don't know, he was reading Caitanya-caritamrta or Bhagavatam, and he was saying, I was just in such good consciousness,
Он вышел, я не знаю, что он читал Caitanya-caritamrta или Srimad-Bhagavatam, и он сказал, я был в таком хорошем состоянии сознания.
And for me, that's who he was. He was always, like focusing on being in good consciousness.
То есть для меня это та личность, которая всегда находится в хорошем состоянии сознания.
That reflected in his dealing with the devotees.
Которая отражается в том, как он общается с преданными.
It reflected in his dealings with his family, with his wife.
Как он обращается со своими семьей, со своей женой.
It reflected in his classes, Srimad-Bhagavatam classes, so deep.
В его лекциях по Srimad-Bhagavatam.
So I would like to personally thank Prabhu for his friendship.
Я хотел лично поблагодарить Прабху за его дружбу.
Right until the end.
До самого конца.
He had the I got a call from him that we should talk. It was the beginning of Kartik. I was starting to go to bed like a certain time, and I said, well, we have to do it at a certain time because I'm trying to be in bed by such time. The time difference between Mayapur and his.
Потому что была разница во времени между Майапуром и тем местом, где он находился.
Anyway, he didn't say anything. Somehow or other, I got to find out about the cancer.
И так или иначе, он ничего в тот момент не сказал, и позже я узнал, что у него диагноз рака.
So we got the call. It was like 2 weeks back, maybe 3 weeks, I don't know.
Я получил звонок 2 или 3 недели назад.
No complaint.
Он не жаловался.
He was just graceful, joyful that this was happening to him.
Он был благодарен, он был счастлив, что это с ним происходит.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. So I'd like to welcome His Honor Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj for coming, and he can close the ceremony today. I would like to thank all the devotees for being here and glorifying this great personality who walks amongst us, who shows so much love for all of us. In this last call, he was just asking me about what I was doing, my preaching. The conversation was kind of tending towards my situation, and I said, Prabhu, whatever is going in my life right now is so insignificant. You're just gonna leave this world, And it was so sudden and so unexpected. Like Prabhu Achinta Chaitanya was mentioning, he was such a healthy person. We just didn't expect it. But he was just happy and cheerful. He didn't have energy to laugh out loud, but he was smiling. It was a WhatsApp call, so I could see him like he was lying, and we had a long conversation, and that was the last time I spoke to him.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As I had the misfortune to miss all of your offerings, I'm sorry, I was teaching a bhaktivaibhava class, which couldn't be postponed. I hope I can get a recording and I can sit and listen to all of your offerings, because I certainly know I will be purified by hearing your glorifications. My personal contact with Rajendranandana Prabhu was really not very much. Just we knew each other over the years, being god brothers. Much more here in Mayapur. He would come for the classes in the morning, and after the class, sometimes Jananivas, Pankajangari, he would stay back after the class, and I would sometimes join them, and we would discuss some more topics in relation to the particular verse. He liked to relish Srimad-Bhagavatam. He was very well read, very learned. He knew the philosophy so well.
Он был очень хорошо образован, начитанным, и он знал философию очень хорошо.
Any question, any doubts you may have, you could go to him, and he could answer. He knew.
Любой вопрос, который у вас был, любые сомнения, можно было подойти, и он знал ответ на любой вопрос.
I was impressed when my first, I'm not from the USA, so I didn't really know him so well, but I saw in Mayapur how much love and respect Jayadvaita Swami had for him. So I could understand he must be a very, very special devotee.
И я не из США, и я видел, какое уважение Джайадвайта Свами проявляет к нему, и я мог понять, какая это необычная личность.
The Jayadvaita Swami gave him so much regard. Jayadvaita Swami himself being a very senior devotee, and he had so much appreciation for Rajendranandana Prabhu, so I could understand this devotee must be also very, very special devotee.
И Джайадвайта Свами приписывает ему много заслуг, и я мог понять, что это очень необычная личность.
And Rajendranandana Prabhu, I remember he came to Tamal Krishna Goswami's Tirobhav ceremony one year, and he was talking about his relationship with Tamal Krishna Goswami.
Я помню, как Раджандранда пришел на церемонию Тирубхава Махотсава к Тамал Кришна Махараджи, и они говорили об этой церемонии.
And he was describing how he was very much grateful to Tamal Krishna Goswami because when Prabhupada departed from the world in 1977 in Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, at that time Tamal Krishna Goswami picked Rajendranandana Prabhu to help him, along with a few other devotees, to help him to bathe the divine body of Srila Prabhupada after he departed from the world.
И он делился о том, как Тамал Кришна помог, и вместе с Раджанандой Прабху они омывали тело Шрилы Прабхупады после того, как Шрила Прабхупада оставил этот мир.
So that in itself was an indication to me that he was very, very mature, very sober, and very much respected, even by people like Tamal Krishna Goswami.
Это для меня было большим знаком, что его очень сильно уважают, признают такие личности, даже как Тамал Кришна Госвами.
And he was able to do such a intimate service for his spiritual master. He showed he also had the blessings of Srila Prabhupada.
И то, что он выполнял такое сокровенное служение Шрилы Прабхупаде, говорит, что он получил особое благословение от Шрилы Прабхупады.
So it's a big loss for our movement. He was a very wonderful person, very friendly with everyone, very humble.
Это большая утрата для нас, членов Международного общества знания Кришны. Он был очень смиренным, очень дружелюбным ко всем.
We would see him go around the temple every morning with a ghee lamp, take the ghee lamp at Mongol Arti, go around all the devotees, not only the devotees, so many people coming in those days for Mongol Arti, and he would go around with the ghee lamp, giving everyone the opportunity to take to get the blessings of the ghee lamp. So it's not an easy service. Temple packed with devotees, and he would go through everyone, give everyone the chance to take the lamp.
Он занимался нелегким служением. Каждое утро он приходил и брал лампаду и предлагал ее всем преданным, и не только преданным. Было много гостей, и это нелегко, потому что храм заполнен людьми, и он хотел предложить, чтобы все получили эту возможность соприкоснуться со священным огнем.
So it gives us some idea of just how humble he was, and how he had the desire to be the servant, not to be glorified.
Это дает нам какое-то представление о его настроении, что он хотел быть слугой, он никогда не хотел, чтобы его прославляли.
So everything about his life was an example, and his departure was also a wonderful example. His mood, when he heard that he had cancer in the 4th stage, his mood was, okay, just let me accept whatever Krishna's plan is for me.
Вся жизнь его является примером для нас. И то, как он воспринял эту новость, когда у него обнаружили рак 4-й степени, он сказал: хорошо, такой план Кришны, и я должен принять его. И вся жизнь его является примером для нас.
So he lived in Krishna and he died for Krishna. So we're very grateful for his wonderful example.
Он жил для Кришны, и он умер для Кришны, и поэтому мы благодарны за его пример.
His Grace Rajendranandana Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Vinasa Maharaj, Narasimha Maharaj. So we'll have now little kirtan and then we'll end up with a prasadam feast.
Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ramana ki jai. Rajendranandana Prabhu ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Rastatara Sati Sri Sriman. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Nityalila Pravisaram Vishnupad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Se Kahosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sid Vaita Gadadha, Sivasadi, Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Gija, Gaura Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to His Grace Sri Rajendranandana Swami Prabhu ki jai.